Hey y'all. Hi, we're back. It's
Hi,
Wanda
everyone.
and Michael.
Yep, we are the Denistons, and I think rather than meet the Denistons, this should be Life with the Denistons, yeah?
Yeah, Life with the Denistons. I
All right.
like that.
You like that?
Yeah,
Life with the
that's what it
Denistons?
is.
All
From
right.
henceforth until we change it again.
This is Life with the Denistons.
Mhm.
All right, and that's our closing, too. All right.
Okay.
All right, sweet. Let's not digress. We're going to be
Yes. We're trying
on
to be
point.
more timely this week because I've been too long-winded.
All right,
I'm
there you
told.
go. Let's just keep it moving.
Mhm.
We're 42 minutes in. Let's go, babe.
Okay. With 42 seconds.
All right, good.
Okay, cool. So we just attended our service, CCC Christian Cultural Center in Brooklyn, online, of course. And we just did our weekly review of the word that we received. And, what we commonly do is we discuss it between ourselves and when there's other family here among the family that's here. So, oftentimes. So yeah, we just did our recap, our review, and now we just want to share our discussion with you. See what you think.
All right, well, we're just sharing. What you think is, well, what you think. So really, what was today's message? Like,
We're not sharing with the neighbors too, though, love.
huh? Oh gosh. Okay. What was today's message?
Today's message was really, it was a two-part message.
Right. So,
One was things grow in the desert. That was the end of Pastor Jamal's message. But the beginning of his message was about being an unapologetic Christian and the five components, his five components of what it means to be an unapologetic Christian.
okay. I'm just gonna stick with what my biggest takeaway of today's service was for me. Talked about the different stages or different seasons of life, and he particularly called out the wilderness season in life, and that was an aha moment for me because I'm going through a phase, and I didn't have the articulation for what it is that I was feeling. But he said, if it's unfruitful, if you're thirsty, stagnant in growth, or stop growing, then those are some of the characteristics of a wilderness season. And those things are exactly what I feel. In particular, my walk with Christ, I don't feel his presence as I typically do. Typically can feel God's presence in my prayer, in my silence, in conversations. I typically will hear his voice, and for a while I feel I've been distracted because I'm not hearing him as I used to. And then it's this thing where it's thirsty for God. So I'm feeling thirsty for God. I do feel unfruitful because I feel a bit distant in my relationship with Christ. So I do feel unfruitful. What was promising, hopeful, optimistic in the message is that, okay, so those things that I identified are a wilderness season, yeah? But even in the wilderness, even in the desert, things grow. So God is with me, and I can still grow while I'm experiencing this, while I'm in my wilderness season. So that was my takeaway, that yeah, I'm going through the wilderness. God is with me. Whether or not it's for me to remain faithful, because he is faithful to me, so it's for me to remain faithful to him, whether or not I feel him, whether or not I feel like it, to get over my feelings and stay the course, because things grow in the desert. So that was it for me.
Yeah. I landed in the same place. That resonated with me, that portion of his message as well, about things still grow in the desert. from a business point of view and an entrepreneurship point of view, there's a lot of talk right now about recession and inflation, and interest rates have been rising. They've come down a little bit, but there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of volatility in the marketplace. Stock market is up, the stock market is down, and my business is particularly sensitive to interest rates. As interest rates rise, mortgages become less affordable, and there's sometimes I do have some apprehension about that. Like, what does my business look like if interest rates continue to rise, particularly with the Fed saying that they're planning to raise interest rates each time they meet this year, and so far they've raised them 3 times already for the year, and they are promising more. So yeah, that message particularly resonated with me because even if the economy goes into recession, right? And I'm already reading about mortgage companies, huge mortgage companies cutting back, laying off staff. Some have even gone out of business. But, when I think back through my entrepreneurial walk, my entrepreneurial journey, it's almost 30 years now, and I've seen a lot of cycles during that time. I've seen 9/11, I've seen 2008, I've seen the dot-com bust, I've seen the Great Recession, I've seen COVID, and guess what? God, as you said, has been faithful. And gosh, and that's just over 30 years of my life. I'm, about to be 55, and as far as I can remember having awareness of God, where I can now look back, going on almost 55 years of life, I can say that through each period of my life, looking back now, God has been faithful. The question, as you said, is not whether or not God will be faithful, is if we're going to be faithful. And so, yeah, things still grow in the desert. So yeah, even if the economy goes into recession, even if the Fed continues to raise interest rates, God can still grow me personally. He can still grow my business personally, even during a recession, even if we go into a desert period. And in fact, right now, as we speak, by the grace of God, I have a full pipeline. So, yeah, thank you, Jesus, that things still grow in the desert. We spoke before we started filming that there are oases, right? There's an oasis that you find in deserts. Fruitful areas, green areas, watering holes in deserts. And God has set us apart. He said that we are a peculiar people. He says we're a people set apart. And when he drove Israel even into exile in Jeremiah 29:11, he says, I know the plans I have for you. They're plans to bless you and prosper you and give you hope and a bright future. And he spoke about that even in exile, still I'm calling you to growth and development. He says, still carry on with human activity. Still have your children married. Still plant vineyards. Basically still grow and develop, even while you're in exile, even while you're in captivity. So if he has called his people, and we're his people, to grow and develop, even when there have been periods of captivity, how much more so does he call us to continue to do so, even during the wilderness period of our lives, the desert period of our lives. So yeah, babe, that really resonated with me as well. It's a hopeful message.
I would actually flip the order of the message. I would start off with the wilderness period, because then the framework for unapologetic, while you do all of those things that you said. So the framework for an unapologetic Christian life, he's given 5 things one of the 5 points has 3 subpoints. Yeah, so the 5 things in terms of being an apologetic Christian is a fact-based narrative, right? So for convictions, to have a conviction based on a fact-based narrative, to be committed to the constant improvement, right? So that development that you talked about, and then expectations. So this is when we go into, in terms of improvement, having expectations. We should expect more of ourselves. We should do better. We should expect more of and for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then about Yahweh, God giving us a self-concept with the right to expect the best out of life. So we should expect better, expect the best, expect more out of life. So when you get to that point where you're like, oh, this is it. So really, if we look at where we are, and in terms of myself, when I started having like, oh, issues with my posterior,
Sure.
and then it's like, oh, your eyes and your this and your that, and I'm like, man, and I get to the point where I'm gonna start breaking down. Well, no, I'm not supposed to see it that way.
Right.
I should see it differently. I should see it. So it came to me today, and that would be God speaking to me, that I should see it where, yeah, maybe through worldly eyes or an unchristian, someone who's not in relationship, I would see these things as, okay, you're over 50 and there's a decline. But as a Christian and standing on the promise from Isaiah 54, where God says my latter days are my better days, then I should expect, when I see these things come up, to just know I have to push through.
Yes.
I have to fight for my promise. And what that means is not that the promise is near, but I have to get out of my head, get out of what the natural says, and press in, pray into the supernatural power of God,
Yes.
so that I can get the promises, so I can walk into the things that He has for me.
Yeah.
Expect the best out of relationship with God, right? So that's in terms of the improvement, which is expectations. Really, the improvement is expectations and just working towards those. And then I'm all over the place. So the framework is convictions, improvement, humanitarian works, our morals, and unity. And so I would start first with identifying the wilderness season. Then I would take for myself this framework to get out of the wilderness.
Yeah. You want to give a context for these 5 components of being an unapologetic Christian, though, because you kind of just went right into it, and I knew what you were talking about. But if someone was listening to us, I'm not
I
sure.
did
that they
say
would know.
that He'd given us a framework for the unapologetic Christian life.
Okay.
So I would have, that's what Pastor Jamal started the message with. And listen, folks, go back to, today is what? Today is August 7th. If you go to the August 7th,
CCC.org.
CCC.org
Yeah.
on YouTube,
Yeah.
and maybe we will connect you there. You can go and get the message. So
You don't have to count on our paraphrasing.
Yes.
Don't rely on our paraphrasing.
so what we're doing is what we got out of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that's what I took out of it. I
Yeah.
took out of it. We both took out of it. The wilderness.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to speak personally. For me, I believe I am walking through a wilderness period now, and because of the reasons I said earlier. And this unapologetic Christian lifestyle framework that He's given is a roadmap for me to walk out of the wilderness, because I have no intentions of staying here. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that idea of the order of it. Yeah, what you just said really just resonated with me. Yeah, it is a roadmap, and prior to you saying that and explaining how it resonated with you, as I said to you before we started filming, I didn't really connect with it right now. I needed to process it, but that what you just said was really, really helpful. And also this idea that God's promises still stand, and sometimes you got to fight your way into that promised land, whatever that promise is. I don't know if it was Bishop Brown or someone else, and I'm sure it's been said before, but before, in front of every promise, there's a problem. And, you know, we talked about it last week, that the children of Israel, when they came out of Africa, when God led them out of Egypt into this promised land, it wasn't like the land was vacant. The land was occupied.
They had to earn the land. They had
to fight for that land. They had to fight their way into that promised land.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, we can walk into a blessing, but you best believe if you walk into that blessing, you're going to have to fight to maintain that blessing. It's one thing to get a blessing. It's another thing to maintain the blessing, too. So there's always a fight at some point.
There's always work to be done.
There's always work, man.
Yeah, because I don't think we just happen into anything that it appears that we happen into. We had done work.
You had done work prior to that,
you
right?
Shown, demonstrated that, yeah, you have to prepare for your blessing.
Yeah.
You have to.
But some blessings, some blessings are supernatural. There is such a thing as a miracle that supersedes, you know, science that we understand, science at the level that we understand, and supersedes human behavior. But that's the exception to the rule. It's a miracle. You're blessed with that miracle, but you still now have to maintain whatever blessing you received in that miracle, and that takes human work. The miracle doesn't sustain you. The miracle is the exception, right?
I think, yeah. And for me, what's coming out right now with that is that someone had to believe in that miracle.
I don't know, love. We can discuss that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of I had 2 accidents, right, where I drove home late when I was a workaholic in a particular business I had at that time, and twice I fell asleep at the wheel. That was irresponsible human behavior.
Right.
Working too hard, too long, whatever, right? And driving while sleep deprived, I guess, right? And the miracle in that, despite my human behavior, my human foolishness and irresponsibility, was that I survived both of those unscathed personally. The car was damaged both times. Nobody else was involved. I fell asleep twice late at night coming home from whatever business I had at that time in Brooklyn, and the car spun out both times. Spun out both times. That was the miracle, right? Twice.
Yeah, I hear you.
At the same time, I couldn't rely on that. That was a clear sign to me, hey, you need to change your behavior, because the next time there may not be a miracle.
Right.
And so you still have to
Yeah.
provide the human effort to now maintain the blessing.
Yeah. Yes. You've proven you've proven your point.
Yeah, so that's what we got out of this week's service. For ourselves, we would really encourage you to check out, CCC, Pastor Jamal's teaching, whatever this date is, August 7th, we said?
Yes, August 7th, 2022.
2022.
Log on, get it for yourself.
Check it out, yeah, and see what you think. And for the 1 or 2 people that may be listening out there, or for the million in the future, who knows? We'd love to know what you thought of it, and would appreciate your comments. We'd appreciate your encouragement. We'd appreciate your constructive. I emphasize.
Hey, I don't know why you even doing that, because we are doing this for ourselves. I don't know if we have an audience. I don't appreciate your constructive anything.
Really? No.
Yeah,
I
right
think
now.
So.
Yeah, baby. I'm not. First of all, we're not gonna be checking social media.
That's
so right
true.
now, I'm gonna keep it
I'm
real.
lying,
So that's why.
Because I'm not gonna check social media. I'm not even active on social media. So what am I talking about?
So I'm gonna say, listen, give Jesus a try. I'm not here to This is not up for review. This is us sharing
This
our
is us
lives.
sharing,
So really, that's why I'm
ultimately,
saying
yeah.
I'm not here to. This is not
Yeah.
the forum for.
Yeah.
I wouldn't ask strangers to give me constructive review. I would take it from. I'd want it from someone that I trust.
Mhm.
Yeah, to give me.
No, it's a good
review.
point, love. It's a good point.
But sometimes people
Mhm.
can.
Mhm.
You can get a better perspective, and maybe because they're not tied to you.
Right.
Uh,
It could be more objective
More
sometimes.
candid?
Yeah, more
Yeah.
candid, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But right now, out in social media, knowing what it is, I would not open that invitation right now. Our family members, and this is really for you, you know where to find us. Don't leave it in the comments. So, yeah.
Yeah, right now, as you said, we started doing this just to share our take, our interpretation of whatever word that we receive, what it means to us at this point in our lives. We're just sharing, and where it goes from there, we hope that it is a blessing to someone, but we know it's a blessing to us.
I'm doing this
It
to
is
do
a
it, to
blessing
leave a
to
digital
us.
copy of my life. No, for real.
Well,
For a
that's one
digital
reason.
copy.
Sure.
One is for a digital
Yeah,
copy,
absolutely.
so
That's
people
one
can
reason.
know I existed. I don't have kids, so
She was really here, yes.
look, we can
Yes.
go in the archive.
We
I
can
found
see the video.
something about
And it's
her.
not a deep fake. It's not computer generated. This is
Yes.
a real person talking.
Yes. So that's all we got. Life with the Denistons.
Until
Yeah.
next time.
Yes.
May the Lord continue to bless you and prosper you.
In
the,
spirit and in what's the
yes, in
scripture?
spirit and in soul. I'm extending
you're paraphrasing.
I'm paraphrasing, but may you continue to flourish. May the Lord continue to bless you above all else, brethren. I pray that the Lord will prosper you above all else. May you continue to prosper in spirit and in soul.
Can you say anything about body?
No, but we go beyond that and say in spirit, in soul, in body, in everything that you set your hands to that is pleasing to the Lord. May
Yes.
the Lord bless
May the
you
Lord
and
smile
your
upon
family.
you.
Yes.
Yes.
May His shalom be upon you. In Jesus' name.
Amen. All right, Brother Mike. So, just as we came in, we're going
Okay.
out.
1, 2, 3. Peace.